Oh, I don't know if I'm live yet or not. Stream live. Streamlabs. Streamlabs. Streamlabs! Lob. Labba dabba. Labba dabba ding dong. Okay, I think I'm live. It didn't say whether or not I was. I think I am. Hey folks. I'm live again. Sorry, I keep looking over at my other screen. I should be looking like this. So, there's writing right there. Look at all that writing. That's a lot of writing right there. So, I figured today, I didn't know what to cover. I didn't know what to talk about. And I was going through the book of Isaiah. Is it Isaiah or Isaiah? Like, I've always known it as Isaiah, but watching Neville Johnson, he pronounces it Isaiah. So I don't know. I think it's Isaiah. And it's just like an accent thing. I have no idea. But and I'm like, I don't know what to cover. And I asked the Lord, it's like, Lord, what should I cover? And he's like, the Book of Enoch. So, well, I guess that makes sense. I named the channel the Enoch's Workshop. So why not cover the Book of Enoch? So, and I know this looks like Genesis because this is Genesis right here. This is Genesis 5. And it kind of goes through the, what do you call it? Genealogy. It goes through the genealogy of, the line of Adam. Adam begat Seth. Seth begat Enosh. Enosh begat, Kenan. Kenan begat Mahalalel. I like that name. Halalala. Mahalalel. Mahalalel begat Jared. And Jared begat Enoch. And Enoch is... No, I don't want to log in. I should log in. I should create a login for this. I'm going to be using it a lot. Enoch is the main topic of today's discussion. And I'm even going to read from the Book of Enoch, which, believe it or not, is found on the Book of Enoch.com. Ooh, floating around. Yeah, see, right here. Right here. https coding / book-enoch of enoch.com. And it is, as far as I know, the Book of Enoch. Because I'm like, well, how can we... I was kind of wondering which one to go to, and, of course, Google it. It's like, okay, I'll Google it. And then I Googled it. Or DuckDuckGo'd it, but I Googled it. I didn't DuckDuckGo it. And, here it is. What is the Book of Enoch? Introduction. And it even has, the actual, book, on PDF. Let's see if I can, right here. This is the actual book. See, that's a book. That's a digital book, but it comes Library of Princeton, August 1955. So, that's a book. Well, I think I'll just hit the download button here. Book of Enoch. Save? Yes. It's saved. So, I figured it'd be easier to read it from this, considering that's the book. And, I can make this big. Helps with dyslexia, trust me. Although I still struggle a little bit. Dyslexia is a lot easier to handle than dysnumeria. Dysnumeria? I think it's called. Where numbers change. It's real fun doing math when half your math equation is different. So I was taking 5 times 6, and the 6 turned into an 8 and made my answer wrong. So, yeah, not good at math. Although I understand the theories. I understand, like, the formulas, the theories. It's just when I actually input numbers, the numbers change. So, I blame it on being a 10th dimensional being. 10th dimensional being from heaven. But, you know, that's what we all are. Anyways, there was silence. But the only silence was in my head because I'm the only one in here. I'm taking these off because I don't need those. Hey, I can hear things. Anyways, so I have the Book of Jude. Can you see that it's the Book of Jude? Yeah, it's just Jude. Hey, Jude. That's not the same Jude. And his name wasn't really Jude. I think they called him Jude after Judas did the bad thing. But anyways, right here, Jared begat Enoch. Enoch begat Methuselah. And Methuselah is a very popular person, considering it meant, his name literally means, when he's gone, it'll come. Meaning the flood. Enoch walked in habitual fellowship with God after birth of Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Can you imagine living for 365 years? I mean, I'm only 40. I can't imagine, being that old. And Enoch walked in habitual fellowship with God, and he was not, for God took him home with him. Hebrews. Because of faith, Enoch was caught up and transferred to heaven, so that he did not have a ... I'm thinking that means death. Oh, we'll just read this. Because of faith, Enoch was caught up and transferred to heaven, so that he did not have a glimpse of death, and he was not found, because God had transferred him. For even before he was taken to heaven, he received testimony, still on record, that he had pleased and been satisfactory to God. And of course that refers back to Genesis, which we were just at. And Methuselah gave birth to Lamech. Lamech gave birth to Noah. And it was funny because, actually, we'll read that in the book of Enoch. Shem, Ham, and Japhet. Japhet? Or that's where they get the name Jaffa Cakes. Although I think Jaffa is with an F. I don't know. Anyways. That's Enosh. Enoch, right here. Yeah, I still have it. So. Alright, well. Now that I've wasted 9 minutes of time, let's go ahead and pray. Let's open this live stream officially with a prayer. So that way, we can open up our minds, our spirits, our ears. See, there's the human body has, the 5 senses: sight, touch, hearing, taste, and smell. There we go. Wow. Anyways, but we also have those senses in the spirit: spiritual sight, spiritual hearing, spiritual smell, spiritual taste, and spiritual touch. And one of the important things is that, we put our spirit side in charge, because we're one. So the physical body is just one part of three. We are not a single person. We are three things mashed into one, right? Because we were made in the Lord's image. We were made in the image of God. God is three, but one. And we are three, but one. And what happens is a lot of the times we let two override the one. So we're mind, which is our thinking, logical, rational thing, the thing that we process information with. We are flesh, our bodies, and we're spirit. And it's the spirit side that we need to pay more attention to. We need to amplify that part of our bodies. And buffering or buffeting, I think was it John? I think it was John. So we need to buffet our flesh. And it basically means we need to hold back our flesh. So our flesh is the one that says, "Oh, I want that. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to eat. I want to have sex. I want to do all this other stuff." And our mind says, well, maybe we shouldn't, but, maybe we can work this out to where we can. And our mind will almost always side with our flesh. It's our spirit that holds us back and says, whoa, wait a minute here. God would not like that. And we have to train our minds to follow our spirit. And once that happens, then our flesh will follow as well. Deny the flesh of its wants and desires. Trust me. And I believe it also says that in the Bible, which is pretty much where I'm getting it from too. That and, of course, listening to the prophets and some evangelists. We don't need to indulge ourselves. Indulgement is actually a very, very, very dangerous thing. If you're comfortable, if you're indulging yourself, and you feel great, there might be something wrong. We're not meant to be lavished. We're not meant to be in luxury and live in vain. That's just pacifying our flesh, and we don't want to pacify our flesh. Doesn't mean, whip yourself every morning either, but, I always find that the worst things in my life happened while I was comfortable. So when I thought, hey, this is great, I want to stay in this moment, I don't want to leave this, and then, boom, something happens. We lose our house, we're homeless, we're attacked, lose my job, and it all happens when I'm too comfortable. So I always watch it. Always be good. So let's shut up, man. So I can pray. Okay. So let's open up. Let's start this off with a prayer. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to have a live stream today and for opening up this space for us. Lord, I pray that you guide my words. And you help me to read the passages that you have picked out for me here, Lord. Lord, I pray that you open our minds, our hearts, our spiritual eyes, Lord, our spiritual ears, so that way we can hear you, Lord, and we can see you and understand, Lord. Give us wisdom and discernment, Lord. In Yeshua's precious name, amen. So, all right. So we have Enoch right here mentioned in the book of Genesis. And he's also mentioned when, because Enoch was the first one that didn't die. He's still alive, and which makes him the oldest person in the Bible. Even though Methuselah was the oldest person. Well, yes, but Methuselah died. Methuselah. Methuselah. I have a hard time saying that. I'm missing teeth, so. Methuselah. There we go. But Methuselah died. Enoch's still alive. But Enoch was a great and righteous man. And he didn't die. He was taken up. So that's who Enoch is, at least in the Bible. And somewhere here in the book of Jude, and I probably should have looked this up. I think there's only Jude 1? Yeah. Looking this up here real quick and find the exact spot. Bzz, bzz. Oh. I'm getting emailed. Email. Whatever. Let's see. So, moreover, that Enoch in the 7th generation from Adam prophesied when he said, "Behold, the Lord comes with his myriad of holy ones, 10,000s of his saints." So, this right here, Jude 14, Jude 1:14, says something that isn't even in the Bible. Because, I just showed you the book of Enoch, or I didn't, not the book of Enoch, but Genesis 5, where it mentions Enoch, and then again where it mentions Enoch, and it doesn't have this quotation. To execute judgment upon all and to convict all the impish? Wow. Unholy ones. There we go. Because, again, Amplified Bible. To execute judgment upon all and to convict all the unholy ones of their ungodly deeds which they have committed in such an ungodly way, and all of the severe, abusive, jarring things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Book of Jude is pretty good, actually. Let's see. So it also talks about the last days. They told you beforehand in the last days, in the end time, there will be scoffers who seek to gratify their own unholy desires, following after their own ungodly passions. Let's see, does it mention... Because I thought it mentioned the actual book of Enoch, but it may not. Footnotes, cross-references. Although, the funny thing is... Well, I shouldn't say the funny thing. So there's two things that the book of Jude talks about. Two extra books. The book of Enoch, and then there's another book that refers to, it's another extra biblical book that was also read along with the Torah. There is... I'm trying to remember me go into my other account here. Don't worry. I'm always going to get flashed this time. There I am. Anyway. That was dumb. There is... I have so many subscriptions here. And maybe we'll watch it. Living Waters. Lineage, she's another good one. Academy of Light. They moved over to Brighteon. They Really Need Your Help. White Dove Ministries. It's another good one. Angel TV, of course. Lots of video game stuff. Bible Project. Here we go. This is the one. Now, the Bible Project, this is a great channel to watch. They don't really talk about too much of theology. It's not really theology, although they do kind of touch on it a little bit. It's more this is what the Bible is. And they even talk about how to read the Bible, how the Bible fits together. Jude, right here. So let's watch the overview of Jude so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Because my information actually comes from this video. So, and I will make myself over here. Excuse me.
The letter of Jude, or more accurately, Judah, according to the pronunciation of his name, both in Greek and in Hebrew. Judah was one of Jesus' 4 brothers, who are named in the gospel accounts. None of the brothers followed Jesus as the Messiah before his death, but afterwards they saw him alive from the dead and then became his disciples. All these brothers of Jesus became leaders eventually in the first Jewish Christian communities, and Judah was known as a traveling teacher and missionary. And this gives us the background to understand the purpose of his letter. We don't know what specific church community he wrote to, but it was likely made up of mostly Messianic Jews. His writing style assumes a deep knowledge of the Hebrew Old Testament scriptures, as well as other popular Jewish literature. Jude had become aware of a crisis facing this church, and so this helps us understand the letter's design. It begins with an opening charge, followed by a long warning and accusation against corrupt teachers who had influenced this church. And then Judah closes by completing the charge about what this church is supposed to do. Judah begins by charging this church to contend for the true Christian faith. He says his plan was to write a longer work that explored our shared salvation through the Messiah. But that project, he says, got delayed when he heard the urgent news about this church, and so he fired off this very thoughtful but very short letter. Judah doesn't begin with how they're supposed to contend for the faith. Rather, he first goes into why. It's because of the corrupt teachers who have infiltrated this church. And it's not their teaching that he targets, but their way of life. Their moral compromise is what tells you they have bad theology. First of all, they've distorted God's grace as a license to sin. They think that they're forgiven and they have God's Spirit, so now they can do whatever they want, especially when it comes to money and sex. And so Judah says they betray Jesus by rejecting his authority and his teachings.
See, now, doesn't that sound familiar? Like a lot of the mega churches and that, you get these teachers and these leaders that are so corrupt, and they're literally there. Like, who was it? One of them said, "God won't let me fly, Coach. I have to fly in my own private jet because God won't let me fly, Coach." Okay, I mean, if that's what God truly said, but I don't know. It's also the same ones that are like, on this day, on this time, the rapture will happen. And then they'll come back and say, well, it didn't happen because, yeah, okay, whatever.
And Judah wants this church to know that the appearance of these teachers is no surprise. He transitions into a longer warning to stay away from them. He first offers 2 sets of 3 Old Testament examples. The first trio is about rebellious people who in the past received divine justice. So the Israelites who rebelled against God in the wilderness, they got what they wanted and they died out in the middle of nowhere. Then he brings up a story about angels who are imprisoned for rebellion until they face God's justice. He's referring to the interpretation of the story in Genesis 6, offered in the popular Jewish work called First Enoch, where the sons of God are interpreted to refer to angels who rebelled against God, then had sex with women and were judged accordingly. Judah.
See, right there. The First Enoch, or the Book of Enoch,
links this story to his third example about the ruin of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis, where violent men tried to have sex with angels. Both these stories are about rebellion against God's order that led to sexual immorality, and that's precisely what the corrupt teachers are guilty of. After this, Judah brings up a bonus example from a popular Jewish text called the Testament of Moses. Like Enoch, it was not part of the Old Testament scriptures, and it was a creative retelling of Moses' final days and words based on Deuteronomy. In the section that Judah quotes from, Moses has died, and there's a good angel, Michael, who is refuting the devil's accusations against Moses, but he decides to leave final judgment for God alone. Now,
so there we go. There's the two books, the Book of Enoch and the Testament of Moses. So, those are right in the Book of Jude. So when people say, "Oh, the Book of Enoch, that's not biblical," well, actually, it's referenced in the Bible. It's referenced in the Book of Jude. It's not a book we should really take lightly. It really isn't. And there are several people have received word from the Lord that said, read the Book of Enoch. So that's what we're going to do. And by the way, guys, Bible Project, don't forget that one. Definitely subscribe to them. They're an excellent group that animates the little things, the little stories of the Bible and stuff. I've learned a lot from them, actually, on how the Bible is put together. Let's see. I'm myself. Whoa. There we go. Now, I guess we can. So this is the Book of Enoch. You can't see it because I'm in the way. Book of Enoch, right there. Go. Put myself back. So the word of the blessing of Enoch. How he blessed the elect and the righteous who were to exist in the time of trouble, rejecting all the wicked and ungodly. Enoch, a righteous man, who was one with God. Wait. That's just the number one. Is that a reference? I don't see it. Who was with God, or who was with God, answered and spoke, while his eyes were open, and while he saw a holy vision in the heavens. This the angel showed me. From them I heard all things, and understood what I saw, that which will not take place in this generation, but in a generation which is to succeed at a distant period, on account of the elect. So here we go. There's that word, the elect. It refers to our generation. Basically, this is the distant period in the far future that Enoch saw. Upon their account, I spoke and conversed with him, who will go forth from his habitation, the Holy and Mighty One, the God of the world, who will hereafter thread upon Mount Sinai, appear with his hosts, and be manifest in the strength of his power from heaven. All shall be afraid, and the watchers be terrified. Now the watchers, if you're not familiar with the term watchers, it's the angels that were here on the earth before the flood. They are the ones that were set to watch over humanity. After we fell from the garden. Great fear and trembling shall seize them, and even to the ends of the earth the lofty mountains shall be troubled, and the exalted hills depressed, melting like a honeycomb in the flame. The earth shall be emerged, and all things which are in it perish, while judgment shall come upon all, even upon all the righteous. So he's talking about the flood, the great flood. But he may also be talking about the great and fearful day of the Lord. But to them shall he give peace. He shall preserve the elect, and towards them exercise clemency. Well, yeah, I think he is actually talking about who appears in hosts to be manifested in the strength of the powers of heaven, which all should be afraid and watchers terrified and to the ends of the earth, all mountains shall be troubled, the exalted hills depressed, melting like a honeycomb in the flame, the earth shall be emerged. All right, yeah, so yeah, this isn't the flood. Because the hills didn't melt like honeycomb in the flame. That's talking about the great and fearful day of the Lord, which is referenced in all over the New Testament, actually. The second coming of Christ. Well, actually, I think it's a little bit after that. It's when pretty much we have to be removed from the earth because it's being remade. A new heaven, new earth. I'm eating these malted eggs from Mally's. My wife ordered a bunch of them. So excuse me. I like to eat sweet things when I'm reading the word. The word. Scripture. Alright. But to them he shall give peace, or he gave peace. He shall preserve the elect, and towards them exercise clemency. Then shall all belong to God. Be happy and blessed, and the splendor of the Godhead shall illuminate them. Wait, what? This is all chapter 2? Oh. This was okay, so chapter 2 is what was quoted in Jude. Behold, he comes with 10,000s of his saints, to execute judgment upon them, and to destroy the wicked, and to reprove all the carnal from everything which the sinful and ungodly have done, and committed against him. All who are in the heavens know what is transacted there. Excuse me, I had chocolate go down. All right. Whew. Excuse me. There we go. They know that the heavenly luminaries change not their paths, that each rises and sets regularly, every one in its proper period, without transgressing the commands which they have received. They behold the earth and understand what is there transacted from the beginning to the end of it. Basically saying that the paths of the planets and the stars and even our own sun has been set. Basically, our entire cosmos is God's gigantic clock. That's why Revelations 12 of it, hold on. I got it marked down, actually. In this book. Revelations 15. Revelations 12 of it. Why that happened at a certain time. Now, that's not a prophecy in the Spirit because the Spirit happens, the Spirit exists. If you're in the Spirit, you're in both past, present, and future. Yes, each and every one of us are sitting in heaven right now, in the Spirit, looking down on ourselves. But the Revelation 12 event wasn't in, it was in the first heaven. It was in the sky. It was a word that when the heavens in that passage refers to our night sky, not the second or third heaven. They see that every work of God is invulnerable in the period of its appearance. They behold summer and winter, perceiving that the whole earth is full of water, and that the cloud, the dew, and the rain refresh it. So he references winter. I wonder if there actually was winter before the flood. I don't think it was in the same context as we know winter. They consider and behold every tree, how it appears to wither, and every leaf to fall off, except of 14 trees, which are not deciduous, which wait from the old to the appearance of the new leaf for 2 or 3 winters. I'm not sure which ones he's talking about there. Again, they consider the days of summer, that the sun is upon it all, or upon it at its very beginning, while you seek for a covered and shady spot on account of the burning sun, while the earth is scorched up with fervid heat, and you become incapable of walking either upon the ground or upon the rocks in consequence of that heat. They consider how the trees, when they put forth their green leaves, become covered and produce fruit, understanding everything and knowing that he who lives forever does all these things for you. That the works at the beginning of every existing year, that all his works are subservient to him and invariable. Yet as God has appointed, so are all things brought to pass. They see, too, how the seas and the rivers together complete their respective operations. But you endure not patiently, nor fulfill the commandments of the Lord. But you transgress and calumniate? Okay, so this is where we go like this. And we go, Google. Hello, Google. Makes false and defamatory statements about.
Calumniate.
Calumniate. Wow. Okay, that's another big word. So, but we know that. We now know what that means. Make false and defamatory statements about. So we can go, but you transgress and make false and inflammatory statements about his greatness. And malignant are the words in your polluted mouths against his majesty. Ye wither in heart, no peace shall be to you. Therefore your days shall you curse, and the years of your lives shall perish. Perpetual execration. The noun execration means angry denouncement or curse. Oh, okay. Perpetual cursing shall be multiplied, and you shall not obtain mercy. In those days you shall resign your peace with the eternal maledictions of all the righteous, and the sinners shall perpetually execrate you. Shall execrate you with the ungodly. I'm going to look that one up here real quick too. Excuse me, folks. I want to understand. Feel or express great loathing for.
Execrate.
Execrate. All right. Shall execrate you with the ungodly. The elect shall possess light, joy, and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. But you, ye unholy, shall be accursed. Then shall wisdom be given to the elect, all of whom shall live and not again transgress by impiety or pride, but shall humble themselves, possessing prudence and shall not repeat transgression. And I'm going to go and head impunity, I think is what that word is.
Impiety.
Okay. So you can be pious. Impiety is the lack of piety or reverence. There we go. Impiety. Transgress by impiety or pride, but shall humble themselves, possessing prudence, and shall not repeat transgression. They shall not be condemned the whole period of their lives, nor die in torment and indignation. But the sum of their days, 1, shall be completed, and they shall grow old in peace, while the years of their happiness shall be multiplied with joy, and with peace forever, the whole duration of their existence. It happened after the sons of man had multiplied in those days, and that daughters were born to them, elegant and beautiful. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, Come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children. Then their leader I can't pronounce that, guys. It's not gonna say it. Shemazai? It's gonna give me. I don't think it's gonna give me a shortcut where I can just hit the button and it says the word. Shamyaza. Shamyaza. Samyaza. Then their leader, Samyaza, said to them, I fear that you may perhaps be indisposed to the performance of his enterprise, and that I alone shall suffer for so grievous a crime. But they answered to him and said, We all swear. So they're all swearing to Samyaza that they're going to commit this sin. And bind ourselves by mutual execrations that we will not change our intention, but execute our projected undertaking. So right there, they're going to carry out the sin. Then they swore all together, and all bound themselves by mutual I'm going to look. Did I already look this one up? I really wish it would give me a little button I could hit the... Oh, right here.
Execration.
So I was saying it right. Execration. Yeah. Mutual execration. Their whole number was 200, who descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Armon. That mountain, therefore, was called Armon, because they had swore upon it, and bound themselves by mutual execration. These are the names of the chiefs: Samyaza, who was their leader, Baramiel, Akabiel, Tamiel, Ramuel, Danel, Azkiel, Sarakanel, Aziel. So these are the names of the fallen ones. Armors, Batral, Anami, or Anani, Zabibi, Samsavil, Artiel, Turel, Yamyazel, Araziel. These were the perfect of the 200 angels, and the remainder were all with them. Then they took wives, each choosing for himself whom they began to approach, and with whom they cohabitated, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the divining root of roots and trees. So right here, they're teaching them the forbidden knowledge, right? The stuff that we were never supposed to know, or at least we weren't supposed to know yet. And the women conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature were each 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them. When they turned themselves against men in order to devour them, and began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes, to eat their flesh, one after another, and to drink their blood. Then the earth reproved the unrighteous. Moreover, Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, the use of stones of every valuable and select kind, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world became altered. So right here, it's not that manufacturing things is evil, right? Again, it was a knowledge that we weren't supposed to have then, and we were never supposed to know how to make we weren't supposed to make the tools of killing. And these weren't just, the paints and, the makeup for women to beguile men. And that's vanity. And what I was talking about earlier with the, why am I drawing a blank? Not delicacies. The things that riches and mammon, which is the love of money. All the stuff. Luxuries. And that's what Azazel brought. And if the word Azazel, if the name Azazel rings any kind of bell, I believe he's like Satan's second-hand man. A really bad person. Impiety increased, fornication multiplied, and they transgressed and corrupted all their ways. Amazarek taught all the sorcerers and diviners of roots. Amaras taught the solution of sorcery. Barkael taught the observers of the stars. Achabiel taught signs. Tamiel taught astronomy. And Asardiel taught the motion of the moon. And men, being destroyed, cried out, and their voices reached heaven. So right there, and this is part of the reason why this wasn't included in the actual biblical canon. I think one part is we didn't have a complete book, but the other part is a lot of that was what the Catholic Church, because remember it was the Catholic Church that compiled the original canon for the Bible from the Jewish scrolls. And a lot of that stuff that's talked about in this book was what the Catholic Church was doing at the time, because they were playing a hand in the wars, the political situations of the world, and have been since the Catholic Church's inception, thousands of years ago. So why would they put in their Book of Holies, in our Book of Holy Holies, the Holy Bible, a book that calls out their misdeeds? And things that were given to them by the fallen angels. So there's something to think about. If you're ever wondering the legitimacy of this book, which I know it is because the Lord told me it was. But if there's ever any doubt, it's referenced twice in the Bible. Well, it's referenced once in the Bible, but Enoch is referenced several times as being a righteous man. So then Michael and Gabriel, Raphael, Suriel, and Uriel looked down from heaven and saw the quantity of blood which is shed on the earth, and all the iniquity which was done upon it, and said one to another, it is the voice of their cries. So right here we get another glimpse of more of the actual angels in heaven, more of the guard, more of the army. I mean, it's not something that we should dwell on. It really isn't. Like the actual names, the individual angels in that don't fall into angel worship. You know, that's one of the main things. But I mean, here it is. See, the earth, deprived of her children, was crying even to the gates of heaven. And now to you, O ye holy ones of heaven, the souls of men complain, saying, obtain justice for us with one the Most High. Oh, why? I wonder if that's referring to God himself, the actual name of God. Now, a lot of the times in these scrolls, they would write out the initials, like the consonants of, Jehovah or Yahweh. I believe it's Yahweh that they're referencing here. Obtain justice for us with Yahweh the Most High. Then they said to their Lord, the King, Thou art Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings. The throne of thy glory is forever and ever. And forever and ever is thy name sanctified and glorified. Thou art blessed and glorified. Thou hast made all things. Thou possessest power over all things, and all things are open and manifest before thee. Thou beholdest all things, and nothing can be concealed from thee. Thou hast seen what Azazel has done, how he has taught every species of iniquity upon the earth, and has disclosed to the world all the secret things which are done in the heavens. See, I believe before the flood, and the Book of Enoch strengthens this to a point, that we were a highly advanced society before the flood. That we had technology that makes what we have now pale in comparison. Look at the pyramids. Look at some of the ancient sites of iniquity. Is it iniquity? The ancient sites of wow. Now, see, all this old English is making my tongue. All the ancient sites, all the ones that were thought to be here before the flood, and how complex they are. Why are we finding mummies in the Peruvian desert that predate some of the earliest specimens of man that we have, wearing textile clothes, and tools that are made of alloys that we can't, that there's no way that they could have produced given our caveman model. And some of those alloys we can't even produce today because the atmosphere on Earth isn't the same. So, Samyaza also has taught sorcery, to whom thou hast given authority over those who are associated with him. They have gone together to the daughters of man, have lain with them, and have become polluted, and have discovered crimes to them. The women likewise have brought forth giants. Thus has the whole earth been filled with blood and with iniquity. And now behold, the souls of those who are dead crying out, and complain even to the gates of heaven. Their groaning ascends, nor can they escape from the unrighteousness which is committed on earth. Thou knowest all things before they exist. Thou knowest these things, and what has been done by them, yet thou dost not speak to us. On what on account of these things ought we do to them? Old English. Then the Most High, the great and holy one, spoke, and sent Arsayal Al-Yer to the son of Lamech, saying, Say to him in my name, conceal thyself. Then explain to him the consummation which is about to take place, for all the earth shall perish. Waters of a deluge shall come over the whole earth, and all things which are in it shall be destroyed. Now teach him how he may escape, and how his seed may remain in all the earth. Again the Lord said to Raphael, Bind Azazel hand and foot, cast him into darkness, and opening the desert which is in Duadel, and cast him there. Throw upon him hurled and pointed stones, covering him with darkness. There shall he remain forever. Cover his face, that he may not see the light. And in the great day of judgment, let him be cast into the fire. Which this is the great day of judgment is the day of the Lord that's spoken of in the New Testament. Restore the earth, which the angels have corrupted, and announce life to it, that I may revive it. All the sons of men shall not perish in the consequence of every secret, by which the watchers have destroyed, and which they have taught their offspring. All the earth has been corrupt by the effects of the teaching of Azazel. To him therefore ascribe the whole crime. To Gabriel also the Lord said, Go to the bidders, to the retrobates, to the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, the offspring of the watchers. From among men bring them forth, and excite them one against another. Let them perish by mutual slaughter, for the length of their days shall not be theirs. They shall all entreat thee, but their fathers shall not obtain their wishes respecting them. For they shall hope for eternal life, and that they may live, each of them, 500 years. To Michael likewise said the Lord said, Go and announce his crime to Samyaza, and to the others who are with him, who have been associated with women, that they might be polluted with all their impurity, and when all their sons shall be slain, when they shall see the perdition of their beloved, bind them for 70 generations underneath the earth, even to the day of judgment, and of consummation until the judgment, the effect of which will last forever, be completed. Then shall they be taken away into the lowest depths of the fire in torments, and in confinement shall they be shut up forever. Immediately after this shall he, together with them, burn and perish. They shall be bound until the consummation of many generations. Destroy all the souls addicted to dalliance? I gotta see what this means.
Dalliance.
Dalliance. Okay. A casual romantic or oh! Dalliance. Destroy all the souls addicted to dalliance. Basically, addicted to sex. And the offspring of the Watchers, for they have tyrannized over mankind. Let every oppressor perish from the face of the earth. Let every evil work be destroyed. The plant of righteousness and of rectitude appear, and its produce too become a blessing. Righteousness and rectitude shall be forever planted with delight. And then shall all saints give thanks, and live until they have begotten 1,000 children, while the whole period of their youth and their Sabbaths shall be completed in peace. In those days all the earth shall be cultivated in righteousness. It shall be wholly planted with trees, and filled with benediction. Every tree of delight shall be planted in it. In it shall vines be planted, and the vine which shall be planted in it shall yield fruit to sati, which I believe is to to quench. But you know what? We're gonna look this up.
Satiety.
Satiety? Yeah, the feeling or state of being sated. Oh. My daughter just messaged me saying she's staying until close. Every seed which shall be sown in it shall produce for 1 measure of 1,000, and 1 measure of olives shall produce 10 presses of oil. Purify the earth from all oppression, from all injustice, from all crime, and all impiety, and from all the pollution which is committed upon it. Exterminate them from the earth. Then shall all the children of men be righteous, and all the nations shall pay me divine honors, and bless me, and all shall adore me. The earth shall be cleansed from all corruption, from every crime, from all punishment, and from all suffering. Neither will I again send a deluge upon it from generation to generation forever. See here, this is the deluge, the flood. In those days I will open the treasures of blessings which are in heaven, that I may cause them to descend upon earth and upon all the works and labors of men. Peace and equity shall associate with the sons of men all the days of the world, in every generation of it. No chapter 11. Ah, okay. Before all these things, Enoch was concealed, nor did any one of the sons of men know where he was concealed, where he had been, or what had happened. He was wholly engaged with the holy ones, and with the watchers in his days. I, Enoch, was blessing the great Lord and King of peace. And behold, the watchers called me Enoch the scribe. Then the Lord said to me, Enoch, scribe of righteousness, go tell the watchers of heaven, who have deserted the lofty sky and their holy everlasting station, who have been polluted with women, and have done as the sons of men do, by taking to themselves wives, and who have been greatly corrupted on the earth. On the day they shall never obtain peace and remission of sin, for they shall not rejoice in their offspring. They shall behold the slaughter of their beloved, shall lament for the destruction of their sons, and shall petition forever, but shall not obtain any mercy of peace. So, to kind of give some kind of understanding here, and this is something, if you watch Spirit Force, and you listen to Michael Basham, he was talking to Alex Adame, who also worked with Neville Johnson. And Alex Adame said that, see, our flesh is the corruption. You know, it's testament to our sin. Adam and Eve, before the fall, were beings of light. And I've heard this in other places too. But they were beings of light. And they were pure until they ate the fruit. And when they ate the fruit, they fell. And they were pushed out of the Garden of Eden, which we know the Garden of Eden is the best way I can describe it. And again, going to the whole video game knowledge and game knowledge, I can describe it because I kind of understand it. It was a pocket dimension. It was a space between heaven and earth, where the holy and the flesh can exist. But that was sealed. That's why we've searched this entire earth. We can't find the Garden of Eden. And it's not that it's sank, or it's underwater or buried or whatever, or it doesn't exist. It exists, but it doesn't exist here per se. It's kind of an in-between state. I'm sure the doorway is still guarded by the flaming sword. But we don't have access to it. You know, there's around in the area, right around the Mesopotamian area, and the Tigris and Euphrates River, the ancient Tigris and Euphrates River. That whole area is kind of hard to get to, and there's places in that area that are guarded by armed guards. You can't go to that area. It could be there. We could have modern knowledge of it, just it's locked off to the public. It's kind of like trying to get to Antarctica. Try to get to Antarctica. But so I mean that's when the Watchers took on wives of human wives, they corrupted themselves because we were corrupted. And that's why they fell from grace. You know, that was the dirty, that was the sin and the rebellion. Part of the rebellion. Satan had already rebelled. So, I mean, it gets complicated, and I think maybe the way I'm explaining it isn't the best, but this is part of the fall. This is the part in Genesis. Genesis kind of just like brushed by it. Let's see if I can. Yeah, see right here. This is where Genesis kind of brushes by it. When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, the face of the lands, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men were fair, and they took wives of all they desired and chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall forever dwell and strive with man, or my spirit shall not forever dwell and strive with man, for he is also flesh. But his days shall yet be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God lived with the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown, the giants. The Lord saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination and intention of all human thinking was only evil continuously. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved at heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy, blot out, and wipe away mankind, whom I have created from the face of the ground, not only man, but the beasts, the creepy things, the birds of the air, for it grieves me and makes me regretful that I even made them. But Noah found grace, favor in the eyes of the Lord. So this refers to this, the Book of Enoch, which goes more into depth. Then Enoch, passing on, said to Azazel, Thou shalt not obtain peace. A great sentence is gone forth against thee, and shall bind thee. Neither shall relief, mercy, and supplication be thine, on account of the oppression which thou hast taught, and on account of every act of blasphemy, tyranny, and sin, which thou hast discovered to the children of men. Then departing from him, I spoke to them all together, and they all became terrified and troubled. So now Enoch, a single man, looking at these angels, these watchers, and said, yeah, you all in trouble. You're all going down for this. And I mean, that's some chutzpah right there. That's that's the power of the Lord. Beseeching me to write for them a memorial of supplication, that they might obtain forgiveness, and that I might make the memorial of their prayer ascend up before God of heaven. Because they could not themselves thenceforwards address him, nor rise up in their eyes to heaven on account of the disgraceful offense for which they were judged. Yeah, their sins. They could no longer look upon heaven and see God or talk with God because of their sins. Then I wrote a memorial of their prayer and supplication for their spirits for everything which they had done, and for the subject of their entreaty that might obtain remission and rest. I'm keeping an eye on the time because I gotta go here in a little bit. Proceeding on, I continued over the waters of the Dan Bedan, which is on the right to the west of Arnon, reading the memorial of their prayer until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions appeared above me. I fell down and saw a vision of punishment, that I might relate it to the sons of heaven, and reprove them. When I awoke, I went to them, and all being collected together, stood weeping in Abaziel, which is situated between Lebanos and Lebanos and Senezer. I don't know, just go copy this. I want to say Senezer. Senezer, with their faces veiled. I related in their presence all the visions which I had seen in my dream, and they began to utter these words of righteousness, reproving the watchers of heaven. So there we go. That was Enoch reading the edicts, telling the watchers, hey, you guys messed up, and God's not happy, and you guys are punished for all of eternity. And it was, it's this book reveals, where they were imprisoned, how they were imprisoned. Some say, well, it also describes a flat earth. It doesn't describe a flat earth. It describes a spiritual vision of earth. We're talking about many dimensions. We're talking about, because we already know, like, we live in the fourth dimension, right? Time, space. But we know mathematically that there's a fifth dimension, sixth dimension, all the way up to 10 dimensions. We know that the 10 dimensions exist, right? But if we sandwich it all into a single existence, and just this, just corporeal earth, then yeah, it's flat. But it's not. Because we're not just talking about a corporeal earth. We're talking about all the dimensions that are even beyond our comprehension. I don't know. I've seen around Earth. I've witnessed around Earth. In fact, round seems to be a very popular thing in the physical universe. Anytime I'm shown anything, like even other solar systems, they're round. They're like bubbles in space. And in fact, even bubbles. You want to go to a very simple representation of how the universe is designed. Blow a bubble. And that membrane on that bubble will take the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance is a sphere. Now, I know people in the Book of Enoch, you're reading the Book of Enoch, you're saying the world's not flat, and they scream at me and yell at me. Fine. Please do. I don't speak this because it's my opinion. I don't say things because this is the way I believe it is. I don't know personally. All I know is what I was told and what I've been shown. So, take it for what you will. I'm just a mailman. You can take the mail. You can leave the mail. You can throw the mail away. You can burn the mail. I just deliver it. Sadhu said that. Sadhu Sundar Selvaraj. I used to watch a lot of his videos, and in one of them he says, "Look, a prophet's job is just to be a mailman." I'm not saying I'm a prophet, guys. Don't put that word in my mouth. I'm not saying I'm a prophet. If that's the appointment that the Lord has for me, then so be it. I'm not going to walk around and say, I'm a prophet. No. But it's our job to just deliver the mail. If the Lord tells me something, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what the Lord told me. I'm not going to add to it. I'm not going to take away from it. It is what it is. If it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't have to make sense. None of this has to make sense. We don't have to wrap our brain around every little morsel and bit of it. It just is. Our belief doesn't change fact. And I think that's a big thing that we miss out nowadays. But let me close this in a prayer. And I've got to go get my daughter here. So, and it was kind of I don't want to say it's a short one. It's like an hour and 20 minutes almost. But, it is. So, thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving us these wonderful resources, Lord. And reading these ancient scripts. Oh, Lord, I would love to read the original manuscript. To be able to understand it. Or to be taught from Enoch himself. Thank you, Lord, for opening our understanding and our eyes and our hearts. And Lord, I pray that you bless us all, every watcher of this video, every viewer, every subscriber, anybody who happens by this information, Lord, I pray you bless them. And I pray that you increase their knowledge and their wisdom. Not by my hand, Lord. I don't have that power. But by yours. Thank you, Lord. You're wonderful. You're a great Father. Thank you for taking your time out for us. In Yeshua's name. Amen. Blessings, everybody. May God bless your nights, your evenings, your mornings, whenever you're watching this. I don't think my entire live stream had any viewers, but I'm not concerned with that. It's out there. And that's all it needs. So if you're happen by this, like, subscribe, comment. Please comment. And visit the links. I put a bunch of links down. These are people that I watch. They're good people. Great people. There's a few that I haven't marked down yet that I'm going to get to. There's so many people. Holly Begley's book just came out. I think on the 17th. She talks about some really, really deep stuff that happened to her when she was a child. Michael Basham on Spirit Wars, he's another good one to listen to. I talk with him on a regular basis. I talk to Holly Begley on a regular basis too, usually when she does a live stream. But yeah, please guys, girls, everybody, whoever, check them out too. This isn't a competition. I don't want to be the only voice, you know. I'm not trying to take viewers from them. If anything, if you haven't seen them, I'm telling you, go watch them. Subscribe to them as well. This isn't a competition. We all work together. It's one God, one voice, one people. Not a bunch of denominations, a bunch of people arguing theology. It's one. And that's how it should be. We're all united as Christians under the word of the Lord and under the Lord's doctrine. What's the Lord's doctrine? Ask Him. Ask Him to show you, and He will. So, on that, good night, folks. Have a good one. I love you all. And until next time.